Trustee Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, the information for the fitness center has not been provided, so I do not have a report for this evening. I know that we are still in the negative amount, just don't have the dollar amount. That information was not forwarded. So hopefully next month I can have that information and then I'll be able to share it with you.
And for the record, everyone gave their report this evening. And I just want to say to the Board of Trustees, if you guys will have committee meetings, I think you guys will have information that's needed. I don't like when people get up here and say that something wasn't given to them.
All right, everyone, we're off to a strong start as always. Trustee Tammy Brown was supposed to present a report, but she mentioned that she didn't receive the necessary information in time from Tiffany Henyard's administration. As usual, Tiffany shifted the blame, suggesting that the trustees could just reach out directly to her and her team. Welcome back. Today, we'll be diving into a recent board meeting where the trustees confront Tiffany Henyard about some hiring decisions. Tiffany is now looking to get some of her hires paid, hires made without the board's approval. Let's get right into it.
Mayor, if I can I read the corporate bills into record?
Sure.
You guys know this is when all the drama starts, okay? When Jason starts to read the corporate bills, and you guys know he's going to take some things off, right? Because they always get blindsided by certain things in there that they want more information on. Let's go ahead and get back to it. I'm not going to have him read everything, but we're going to just get back into it towards the end.
Total corporate payments on this register, $2,454,619.43. So for the payroll portion of the bills, I motion for payment of payroll for all employees that were on the payroll January 12th and before, January 12th, 2022 and before. Received the payroll list today at 4:00 p.m. So I was not able to go through that list to see any new additions or potential new additions, but there were none that were run by the board. So my motion on payroll is that any employee that was on payroll January 12th, 2022 and before be paid, all others be excluded.
You all know this is where the drama really kicks off when Jason starts reading the corporate bills. And as usual, he's going to remove a few items because there are always surprises in there that need more explanation. Let's jump back in. I won't have him read everything, but we'll pick it up closer to the end.
And then my motion on corporate on the remainder of the bills is that the remaining corporate bills is read into record, be paid with the exclusion of DLC Properties, which is on page 6 of the warrant list, $1,000 payment. EPG Chicago payment of $1,000 is on page 7. Fink Safe and Lock Co., which is on page 7, $5,000. Page 12, Neighborhood Surveillance Systems, $12,129.36, and additionally excluding all manual checks. So my motion is to pay corporate bills with the exclusions noted.
He's essentially saying he's willing to approve all the bills, except the payroll for those Tiffany hired after January 12th, without board approval. This isn't the first time Tiffany has made hires on her own, bypassing the board and skipping proper background checks. Just like when she appointed someone with a violent criminal history to act as a code enforcer, giving him the authority to enter residents' homes. That hire clearly wasn't in the residents' best interests. It was because he helped with her campaign. This is another example of Tiffany hiring whoever benefits her, despite her claims of working for the residents. Actions speak louder than words, right? And of course, these are just my opinions. Let's keep going.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion?
May I be recognized?
Yep, go ahead.
There was a couple of questions. We received this on Saturday in reference to some things. No, it was late Friday. I want to be correct. In reference to some things that was on the warrant list. And Trustee House just pulled some of the items, but there were some questions about some refunds that were issued. We have 14812 Indiana, which was $1,000 refund was issued to EPG Chicago SSH LLC, but they turned over a $15,000 check to the Village of Dolton. So it was a question in reference to that, because that same day Another $1,000 check was issued to the same property, which is a house at 14812 Indiana, and then the owner was David Cannon. So we pulled that because their email that went out stating that we have to copy the village administrator and set an appointment to speak to either housing or finance or whatever. And if we got it on Friday evening, and today was the only day that we can really speak to someone, we wouldn't have accurate documents of why they paid $15,000 and only got $1,000 back. And it's a home, and 2 different owners have been issued checks for this particular property.
All right, everyone, here we have Jason House going through and removing certain items, like he usually does. That's his job, to keep an eye on the finances, and it's the trustees' responsibility to make sure the mayor isn't just spending freely. We all know Tiffany loves to throw parties and host events, using them to promote herself at meetings, saying, "Look at all I'm doing for you. I'm a great mayor who cares about the community." She claims the trustees are just haters who don't do their jobs and are trying to block progress. In reality, they're trying to curb her spending because Tiffany acts as if there's no limit, as if it's not taxpayers' money. Just my opinion, of course. Now let's move on to Trustee Kiana Beller, who has some questions for Tiffany.
Okay, anything else?
My only concern with this warrant list is $625,000 in warrants and checks printed after the warrant list. That means after we got the warrant list, they issued $625,000 worth of checks. Money's been spent, so there's no checks and balances. We're getting warrant list lates. We're getting all this stuff after the fact, so we have time to really look at it. So we have to set meetings with department heads, but like Trustee said, we got it Saturday, and then Monday you can't really set no department head meeting with anybody to ask these questions. So that's my concern, is just spending without no proper time given to the board to review, to make these decisions. Is this last minute for us? So.
All right, it sounds like there are some important real estate questions being asked here. Honestly, I don't fully understand all the details myself, but it's less about the questions and more about Tiffany's responses. I bet she knows exactly what Kiana is talking about, but will she actually address it? Will we get any real answers from her? We'll find out soon enough. In the meantime, a couple of other trustees also raised their own concerns. Let's hear from trustees Ed Steve and Brittany Norwood.
Oh, yeah, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess I'm just wondering when we receive the credit card bills. I know it's been like a month or 2 since we received the credit card bills. So since we're going over corporate bills, I was just wondering, do we have them, or will we receive them, or when we will receive them, if so?
All right, anybody else?
Was that a question?
Yeah, it's a question.
You're not the trustee asking. I'm going to say my statement so we're not going back and forth. Everybody get out whatever they want to say, and then I will respond. Thank you, sir.
He makes a solid point here. It only makes sense. Anyone with a bit of common sense would agree that Trustee Steve is spot on. Information should be provided ahead of time, before these meetings, so trustees can get in touch with the right people and have their questions about the bills answered in advance. Well said. Now let's move on to Trustee Brittany Norwood and hear her perspective.
Chris, you find the answer to my question?
Not yet. I gotta see where, I don't have access to the billing from here. So when I get to, I can look into it and get you an answer.
So you don't know why y'all charge us $28,000? And is that for just 1 month or several months? Do you know that at least?
I know that it's for work that we've done for you guys over the last month and a half, but I don't have the invoice in front of me, and I don't have access to the invoices from my computer.
Okay, well look, I think you need to come here more equipped, because I'm gonna always have questions about this warrant list, and you never have an answer. Especially as it relates to your billing of $28,000. I at least thought you could tell me, trustee, this is from April to May. You can't even tell me that. Who put this together? Someone put this together so it can go before the board. So when y'all put it together, we're voting on what you guys write. So I'm saying that make sure it's accurate and correct so that I'm giving the right vote, per se. I have to ask a million more questions just to get gloves out of a PW shop. That's crazy. That's all I'm saying.
Look at that little smirk of hers. It's as if she's saying, yes, I heard the question, but really she's just gearing up for her gaslighting performance. She's about to gloss over everyone's questions, shift the blame, and throw up her usual smoke and mirrors. Her plan is clear. stir things up, get people flustered, and try to make them lose focus on what they're actually here to do. Not just pay the bills, but pay them responsibly. Trustees should absolutely have the right to ask questions at a board meeting. It's just common sense. But as they say, common sense isn't so common, especially with Tiffany Henyard. What's interesting is that back when Tiffany was a trustee, she certainly didn't let her own questions slide. She didn't just vote along with the mayor, she made sure her questions were addressed. Let's take a little trip back in time to see what Trustee Tiffany Henyard had to say about not receiving information on time.
Anybody else? Everybody got everything out that they wanted to say? All right, as relates to anything that happens here at the Village of Dolton, when we send out the warrant list to the Board of Trustees, it is 24/7 that you work as an elected official. If you get it late on time, you still have time to reach out to myself. As I stated in several meetings, call my phone. I work 24/7. My phone is never off. If a board member has a issue, a debate as relates to a warrant list up here, as relates to a Monday, you stated that Monday you don't have time to reach out and talk to a department head. You do. You can call Keith Freeman. He is always available. And matter of fact, in our email, we stated if anybody has questions over the weekend, we are all available to answer any questions that the board may have. What I don't like is we get at these board meetings and we grandstand on things that we could have got answers to before we got here. And then it looks like we're just debating and fighting amongst each other.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Trustee Henyard was once in the same position, asking questions about information she should have received before the board meeting. Funny how things change when you're on the other side of the table. Now let's fast forward to Mayor Tiffany Henyard and see how she responds to trustees asking her those very same questions.
So if everybody would, again, my cell number is 708-297-6859. You guys can reach out to me or reach out to Keith Freeman. I don't know your cell number by heart, but you can reach out to any of us and we will answer any questions that the board may have. So it's been motioning and seconding. You guys have retracted certain things from the warrant list, so we can call the roll.
Well, there's still discussion. I'm sure somebody else wants.
Yes.
One more. What I'm sure other trustees have something to say. But let me finish my point. Let me finish my statement.
Trustee, 1 second. You just made your statement for the record. That's why I waited to the end to make my statement so that we can move forward so it don't be a back and forth.
We're seeing a major shift and clear double standards between Trustee Tiffany Henyard and Mayor Tiffany Henyard. As a trustee, she demanded the same transparency and information that the current trustees are asking for now. But now that she's mayor, it's the same repetitive excuses at every board meeting whenever the trustees try to hold her and her administration accountable for not providing the information they need to make informed votes. Now that she's in charge, she seems to be making up her own rules that are starting to resemble those of the previous mayor. Meanwhile, the trustees are sounding a lot like the former trustee Tiffany Henyard.
Because at the end of the day, you made your statement that you guys want to pay certain bills. It's on the record. So we're going to call the roll and move forward, back and forth to do what?
I still have more input.
Okay, go ahead.
Discussion's not over.
Go ahead, make your input.
We passed an ordinance that all hire and fires have to run through the board. It's not being followed. Saturday, I should not get the bill Saturday. None of us should get the bill Saturday. Sunday, nothing. We just got the payroll reports. We don't know what's being spent. It's not personal towards the employees. We're just trying to do our job to oversee the taxpayers' money. And it's spent now without checks and balances. This whole thing about we're trying to hurt people, we pass ordinances and laws that this administration is not following. That's the only reason. All the hires after January, like Trustee House said, was not come across. Our Public Works, I don't know how many people are over there right now. We don't even have payroll reports. They just sent us the payroll report yesterday. That's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to do our jobs and be responsible with the taxpayers' money.
What she's really saying is, I let you all talk so I can have the final word. That's a classic narcissistic move. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but after doing some Google research, it's just my personal opinion that Tiffany Henyard shows a lot of classic traits of a narcissist. She consistently displays behaviors that fit the textbook definition. Let me know in the comments if you agree. But again, I'm no professional. These are just my personal observations as things unfold. Let's keep going.